Welcome back to another episode of Gloves Off. I'm your co-host, Ebe.
And I'm Kendall Skalicki. Unfortunately, we have some pretty sad news today about our beloved Ebe.
I am leaving. It's my last semester here in State College. I get my degree in May, and honestly, it's been an adventure here at Penn State, and I do cherish every single moment with it. But, you know, it's like bittersweet news. Like, I get my degree, I did my time, and I'm just excited for the future. But some good news on top of that, I'm in the transfer portal. I'm looking to play football somewhere else at a different institution or a different university, and you know, I've been in the transfer portal for about 2 weeks now, and I'm looking at schools such as Buffalo, Kent State, ACC schools, West Virginia, Syracuse, and honestly, it's been a ride.
So I'm curious, what's the entering the transfer portal, what's that process like?
So usually when you're done with your sports team, you head into the compliance office, you talk to them, you get some things squared away, and then they put your name in the system. It takes about 10-15 minutes, and then after that, coaches from like everywhere in the country have your information, and then you're allowed to talk to coaches, you're allowed to text, calls, and then they're allowed to recruit you. And so far, the main two schools who recruited me, who extended scholarships offers, were Kent State and Buffalo, like I mentioned earlier. But you know, honestly, I'm just excited for just like the new adventure. You know, I did Penn State. Now let's see what else is out there in the world for me.
Very happy for you, but I'm also very upset. Fun fact, I actually found out about this through Instagram because Ebe didn't tell me, and then he decided to post a little statement that he's leaving and thank you for his time at Penn State.
I didn't tell no one. It was just kind of just like something I just put out there, and it was a little statement. My apologies, Kendall. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm happy for you, and I'm excited for you to get started somewhere new, and hopefully this isn't the end of you on the podcast. Anyway, so the purpose of this episode is we're going to slowly introduce someone new so that we can have a new host that will transition in smoothly after Ebe's departure. So we're going to bring him in today and introduce him to you guys.
And this is really exciting news for me because Kendall and I are excited to bring on a longtime friend of mine, a roommate, a well-respected man in the Penn State community, Landon Tengwall.
Who's basically Ebe in a different font. So I think it's gonna be perfect.
From Annapolis, Maryland, Landon Tengwall.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me on, man.
Ebe in a different font.
Ebe in a different font, essentially.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I've known Ebe a long time. This is my guy. We've been roommates for about 3 years now. Obviously, really sad to see him go. This is one of my best friends ever. But, you know, real happy for him and the opportunities that he's going to get. We go all the way back. Ebe mentioned Martin Hall earlier. We were actually lived right across the hall from each other. Ebe used to find me doing tricep pushdowns in my room. And
wait, you guys were in Martin?
We were in Martin together.
He lived right across
all the
from
other
me.
athletes I feel like are in, like I was in Pollock, and I feel like a lot of athletes were put in Pollock. Not football, I guess.
Like the track athletes and
hockey.
Baseball, hockey, yeah.
Oh, that's not fair.
Well, we had a good time in Martin Hall. Fully renovated. It was some interesting times on our floor. Definitely had some wild memories, but I actually have a really good memory. My grandma sent me some cookies, right? And so I was on a health kick at the time when I first got here. Right now, if I get a bag of cookies, I'm going to destroy them. But back then, I was on a health kick, and I love my grandma's cookies. I didn't really know Ebe. And I said, you know, I got to get rid of these cookies. I had 2 of them, and I had to just get them out of my room because I couldn't have them anymore. I didn't want those problems. So I took them across the hall. I set him by Ebe's door. I knocked on his door, and I just ran away.
You disappeared.
Aww.
I didn't know Ebe. I wanted to give him a little gift, though. And next thing I know, they were gone. Did you eat all of them?
No, I didn't eat all of them. But, like, I kid you not, I walk out of my room. There's, like, 2 bags of cookies. And I don't have any enemies.
Did you think it was from a girl? I would have thought it was, like, a love note thing.
That's initially what I thought. But then, like, a part of me also thought that someone was trying to, like, poison me. Like, there's probably just, like, something in here that'll make me...
Why would you do that?
I don't know. Like, I don't have any enemies or anything, but that's just, like, initially what just, like, sparked in my head. Like, this has to be some evil doing. Someone's out to get me. There's no way someone's going to drop off 2 bags of chocolate chip cookies just in my dorm. Like, it's not something that ever happened
Were
before.
you shy?
No, I was never that shy. I just didn't know Eve that well, and I wanted to get rid of him. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go put him by Eve's door. I know he'll eat them. I don't know why. I could have just knocked on the door and said, hey, bro, you want some cookies? And maybe the friendship could have started a little bit earlier. But it was crazy because we really left Martin, and we had a little break before the summertime, and I knew Eve, and we were both on the offensive line together, but we really weren't friends. Like we really weren't friends at all. And then we're moving into Nittany Apartments that summer, my first freshman summer, and then it was your second summer, and it was me, Christian Vayu, and Dom DeLuca, and we needed a fourth. So Eve got put with us, and I just see randomly this big dude coming with 3 bags looking for his place.
Aww.
And he's like, he said, I think I'm with you guys. And we're like, what's up, bro? And, I didn't really know him too well, but then we got to know each other now.
Did you tell him right away that it was you who did that?
No, I don't think.
I didn't find out until like 2 years after.
I was going to say, if you told me right away, I would be like, all right, this kid's something's a little bit
Something's
off.
a little off. Honestly, I don't think I told Eve until so he came home with me for Christmas, and I took him over to my grandparents' house, the one who made the chocolate chip cookies, and she made chocolate chip cookies when we were there. And I think I said to him, that's the first time I told him, I said, do you remember when you got these cookies sitting outside of your room freshman year? And he was like, that was you? And it was this whole thing. So my grandma got the whole rundown on all of it. And she was glad that Eve got to enjoy some of her cookies.
That's so
but yeah,
cute.
from dropping cookies off at Eve's dorm and not saying nothing to my
It's like a
best
little
friend for
love
life.
story.
Yeah. It's a golfing every
Bromance.
weekend and everything. Yeah, it's awesome.
No doubt.
Okay, so back to you, Landon. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your football journey? And Landon's a junior, by the way, so he's going to be here next year, but he does not play anymore. So do you want to tell your story?
Yeah, so, I coming out of high school, I was pretty highly recruited, visited a lot of different schools, and then, Penn State was just a really special atmosphere. As you guys know, it's kind of just different around here, the culture, the type of people. There's just a different type of love around here than in other programs. So, I was actually coming up to camp here since 8th grade. I actually have a really cool story about me clamping down Yetur's Gross Matos as an 8th grader. He was an incoming freshman, and then I got the MVP as an 8th grader at one of the offensive line camps, and then ever since then, it was over.
How big were you in 8th grade?
Pretty much the same size. 8th grade, well, I was actually a wide receiver. So 8th grade fall, I'm a wide receiver. I'm about 6'5" still. I'm about the same height I am now.
I was about to say, just for perspective,
Yeah,
Landon. How tall are you, Ebe?
6'5".
Yeah.
So you're like the same size?
We're pretty much the same height,
Okay.
about 6'5", 6'6". But I hit my growth spurt in 7th grade, so I'm 6'5" in 7th grade.
Holy
and
cow.
I was a long body. I was only about 185 in 8th grade, so I'm playing wide receiver in 8th grade. And, so I start talking to college coaches, and my dad, he's like, I think you got a real chance to play offensive line. You're not that fast. He sat me down. He said, look, you run a 5-second 40. You need to go on the O-line. So I said, all right, that sounds good. So I made a, very big effort after I finished my fall 8th grade to put on a lot of weight. Ended up in the spring playing for my 8th grade spring team, which is kind of filters you into the high school program. So I'm playing with a bunch of guys I'm about to play with my freshman year. And when I started that season, about 4 months after that fall season, I was about 285. So I put on about 100 pounds in about 4 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's one of.
What were you eating?
Well, so my middle school didn't start till 9:15, so I was working out before and after every day. And then I was eating probably like 7,000 calories a day.
7,000.
As a 7th grader?
As an 8th grader.
As an 8th grader?
Well, it was really, I was making a big effort to get as many calories in as possible because I was working out so often. I was trying to pack as much weight on as possible, but I was having protein shakes 2 a day. I'm eating 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches before bed, just trying to get as much weight on as possible. And it was clean weight too. We'll have to plug in a picture for everybody to get a picture, to kind of get a visual of it. But it was pretty clean weight for only being 13 years old. And so that's kind of how I started. And then my program, I actually went to high school with Blake Corum. I'm sure everybody knows Blake Corum, the running back from Michigan. We went to high school together. And then from there, transferred to Good Counsel, Maryland. Really good players have come out of there. Stephon Diggs out of there. Some other really talented NFL players. So I had a really good career there and got to play some big-time guys. I played Caleb Williams every year. Olu Fashanu, our tackle, who just left for the NFL draft. He was on Gonzaga. We played them a lot. So played a lot of good competition, guys that are on the team now. So it was a really good time, really fun, good experiences for me. And then got to Penn State. Played a couple, didn't really play too much my freshman year. Then sophomore year I started. And then this past year, started to kind of rack up concussions. And you guys know, that's big theme in football now is people getting concussions, and it's a very serious matter. So I actually had to retire from football this past August. But I'm still in and around the team, and then I'm transitioning. I'm a broadcast journalism major, so I'm kind of getting into this field, podcasts, radio shows, talking shop, talking football, life, all of it. So, I'm excited for the transition and kind of what life has to offer next. And, when one door closes, many more open. So, I'm just really excited for this opportunity. And then obviously coming on this podcast, real sad to see my man Eve go. But, we're going to have a great time. We're going to keep this thing going for you guys.
Now,
keep it pushing.
When that happened, I mean, I know Eve knows you better than I do, obviously, but from what I know, you're extremely positive and a glass half full type of guy. When that happened and you found out you couldn't play anymore, do you feel like that perspective, like you were always looking on the bright side, or were you down for a little while?
Yeah, no, I mean, I always try to look on the bright side, and obviously it was hard for a little bit. I mean, I played football since I was about 10 years old, but I was always really big on what else I wanted to do in life. Like, football wasn't like my end-all, be-all, and it's kind of unfortunate for some guys that it has to be that way because it is such a brutal sport. But it is nice that, my family and, people around me supported me, giving me a lot of opportunities from connections I've made with, different people, especially around Penn State. And one thing I can say that I've really taken away from this experience is the Penn State community and how loving and strong they are. They're just behind their people. If you went to Penn State and you need some support for a little bit to get back up on your feet, no doubt that you're getting that from this university, from the alumni, even the coaches, all that stuff. It's really been fantastic. So that is one thing I realized, how strong of a family the Penn State community is, because I really felt so much support. I had so many different people reach out to me and just, whatever they can offer, any type of help, anything going forward in my future, internships, things of that nature. It's really been a blessing. And like you said, I try to always keep a glass half full type of mindset and just taking it as it comes. But I'm really excited for the future and kind of what it presents and what it holds for me.
Yeah, well, your story's amazing, and I think it's so awesome that you have the personality you do. And as you said, I feel like if that happened to some people, it might take years for them to get back on their feet. So I feel like you just being the way you are and what you've turned the situation into is just really inspiring. So going off of that, do you want to tell us a little bit about your nonprofit?
Yeah. So I'm about to start up a nonprofit here in the near future, kind of helping athletes with head trauma, as well as helping athletes transition from playing to normal life, just that life of normalcy. If you played a collegiate sport, really any sport, you know how hard that transition is from that life where you're on a schedule 24/7. You're waking up at 6 a.m. for morning workouts. And now, you kind of have that freedom where you don't really have anything to do. And if you want, you could pretty much sit around all day and not really get much done. And I
always think about that, like what you guys will do because it's going to end one day. Like, I think even with Jason Kelsey, this is kind of irrelevant, but this is just how my mind works. Like, I keep thinking about him, and I'm like, I hope he has something to do, because I know he's a dad, but I just feel like it has to be so weird to go from having somewhere to be every single day, and then it's just over one day.
What you see that's common with a lot of these guys, like, they have, like, these startup podcasts, and they're working within the media, so, like, when these guys can retire, like, they want to stay in that field, and they still want to talk football and still want to be around these guys. So, like, what they do, like, a lot, they have these podcasts and they join the media so they can still be around. So, I guess, like, stuff like that fills in time. But to go on, like, what Landon says, you have all this time, and then all of a sudden, just, like, you don't have all this time, and all of a sudden you do have all this time. Like, you can just sit around and do nothing, but that's not productive. Like, the other week, I applied to become a DoorDash driver and Uber Eats driver because I was sitting around and I got bored. Like I'm still working now. I'm still, like, going to class and doing everything, but I probably have, like, 20 to 30 hours just, like, of free time, and I just get really bored. So I just said, why not? Let me just apply on DoorDash. Let me just find a little hobby to do. And
did you start?
I start today.
Oh, well, congratulations.
I'm going to go ahead and put an order in. Maybe a Wendy's order, something like Baconator or something like that.
Make sure you just drop a $10 tip, man.
Hey, I'm warning you right now. Those tips can be a little harsh
Ooh,
around here.
I
These
know.
college students don't drop off
I
the
did
best
that
tips.
yesterday. We were watching the hockey game. My sisters came to my apartment and we DoorDashed Moe's. We were gonna get Chick-fil-A, but my mom has been on this health kick, and I don't know if you've seen on TikTok and stuff, but all this like gross stuff has been coming out about like the meat anyway, whatever. We got Moe's and the tip came up and it was like $10, and I literally was like, absolutely not. Like, it was already like $78 and I changed it. The lowest I could do was $5. But if it was Eve, I would you have to put a picture in so people know it's you.
My picture's definitely in.
Okay.
My picture's in.
Yeah, I'm tipping Eve a lot, no doubt. But yeah, just to finish, I do feel like that is a big problem we were just talking about in sports, is that transition. And there's so many guys that are lost for a while, and there's guys that never even recover. That's all they know, and that's all they know how to do in their life. And so that's kind of what I want to focus on, not only just the head trauma piece and helping people out with that suffer from concussions, but also helping athletes transition into that life of normalcy, kind of just being a civilian again, because it is a completely different lifestyle that you
absolutely.
live. Especially when you're playing collegiate or NFL or really any type of sport at a higher level.
Well, that's why I think it's so smart that both of you're both broadcast, correct?
Yeah.
Because then you can stay in it if you want to, and you don't have to leave, the sports environment as a whole. So, do a podcast your whole life.
Of course. Well, Landon, we have this book in front of us. Can you tell us a little more about it?
Yeah. So this is my children's book. It is called The Men Up Front. I got it done about a year ago. It has been
So this was after you stopped playing? You started this or before?
This is before I stopped
Okay.
playing. So this is right at the end of last season, and I retired this past August. But it has been it's been a really fun time with the book. It's given me a lot of opportunities. I've went to over 9 elementary schools around. I was able to
How'd
go.
you get the idea? Like, how did this start?
Well, actually, so the guy who had children's author, his name was Andy. He hit me up. Drew Alar also has a book. So I don't know why I got chosen with Drew Alar, the star quarterback at Penn State, but I was blessed enough to get chosen for this one. And so, we kind of went through, and it's a little bit of just about my life, about my journey here to Penn State. Has a couple fun tidbits in here about me. Little drop here. I was an All-American water polo player growing up. I actually won a couple Junior Olympic gold medals out in California. So
For water polo?
For water
Oh,
polo.
wow.
My dad was an All-American water polo player.
So he just runs in the family.
Interesting.
Runs in the family. I mean, you met my dad, big dude. Normally water polo players are real skinny,
I was
lanky
gonna
guys.
say would not have guessed water
Yeah,
polo
I
mean,
offensive lineman.
His dad was in not the Navy, the Air Force.
He-
And you always
Air
talk
Force.
about how you were born in the water.
I was born, my mom had me in water.
Just like
at home.
Ebe.
I wasn't born in the water.
Yeah, so no. And I remember coming home.
There you go. He could teach you how to swim.
Well, okay, all right, hold on. We need to pause real quick. I brought Eve home a couple summers ago. I kind of had to rescue Eve, not to put him out there. We were in my nana's pool,
In the pool.
and
In the pool.
Eve wanted to go in the deep end, it seemed. And, we got him out of there. It was a little dangerous. Turn this around for the fans right
Oh
here.
my god.
I think that was one of those
That's
days.
the floaty I fell off of, and he had to come and save me. I swear to God, he literally dove in.
So you literally, like, if you fell in a pool, you can't even tread water?
I can't. I literally the whole time I'm
You
jumping
really
up
should
and down.
learn. Like, that's not
coming up for
safe.
air.
You really should learn.
I remember I went down and I like down by his legs and I just pushed him up. It got him over to the side.
Oh my god.
So yeah, we had
That's
to save Eve.
awful.
But we're
That's funny you say that because a video came up on my TikTok this morning actually, and it was like one of the lifeguards training the babies how to swim, and they literally just toss them in and then they try to flip over.
That
And
is so crazy.
literally this morning I was like, oh my god, like Eve needs swimming lessons like this. Just
no
toss
one is.
them in.
I'm gonna
the
panic.
deep end.
You throw me in like that, I'm gonna start panicking and then punching the water. If my feet don't touch the floor, it's a problem. But I do gotta learn how to swim. Just made a YMCA membership. I'm gonna look into it.
You said this last year too.
Yeah.
I know,
think you
but
did.
you know me, like it happens. It
Yeah.
happens.
Hey, catch me and Eve at the YMCA working out. Any fans want to join us? Come over.
Yeah,
we'll
there you
get a
go.
good pump in. But real quick, just to finish off about my book, it's been a real awesome experience. Like I said, I was able to go to over 9 elementary schools. One of those being my own elementary school a couple different times, and to just kind of give back, give some of the books away to the kids there. Sign whatever for the kids. Just interact with them. it's a really cool experience. It doesn't really matter even like who you are. It's just the fact that you're someone, you came back and you just get to interact with them. I would go outside, play kickball and football, and I didn't hold back at all. They rolled me a little kickball. It was real slow, and I put my full power into it. It was a home run. I kicked it out the park. I got no remorse when I'm playing. It's straight competition for me. But no, and then my favorite thing I did with the book is we worked with a nonprofit, about 10 guys on the team, called Souls for Souls, and we went down to Guatemala to give back and give shoes out to kids down in Guatemala, which was a fantastic experience.
That's really neat.
Yeah, it was really awesome, and kind of just puts everything in perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always wanted to do something like that.
Yeah, I highly recommend anybody, if you get that opportunity, definitely take it. But I was able to actually, through donors, because they donated 150 of my books, so I had donors pay for 150 of my books for me to take down to Guatemala and give out to the kids down there, which was a fantastic experience.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it was the last day. It was one of the nicer schools in the Guatemala area. They teach their kids, full English, and a lot of them speak English really well, which you don't normally see down there. And they loved it. We all signed the books for them, and they were all reading it, and it was one of the greatest times of my life. And I have pictures from the event. So
I was gonna say, I want to see that. That's so awesome.
Definitely a moment I cherish for sure. And I hope those kids still have the book on their nightstand or something like that. But it was a really cool time.
Going back to your family, you mentioned your dad, the Air Force, you said?
Yeah, so he went to the Air Force Academy. That's where he played water polo at. Okay. So I actually have 3 brothers, so I'm the youngest of 4 boys. My dad, Air Force, so not a whole lot of nonsense, kept us in line growing up. But I was the youngest of 4 boys, so I was getting beat on. I was at the bottom of the piles.
Are your
brother?
You
were the biggest, though, right?
I wasn't originally, but now I am. I'm easily the biggest, and now we're all older. I'm 21, and then the oldest. I think he's about to turn 28, which is pretty surreal. If when you're kind of in that transition phase.
It's not that far apart for 4 of you, though.
No, it's not. We were all pretty close.
Yeah.
That was like one of the best parts about being just kind of all within each other, all within the same age group.
Are you alike personality-wise, or no? Are you a typical youngest?
They're all different. I kid you not.
Really?
They all kind of like resemble each other, but they all just have different personalities.
Completely different.
Are you a typical youngest child?
Yeah, typical.
Okay.
I get all the stuff. Growing up, I got to do everything that my oldest brother Keaton got to do, and he's 7 years older than me. So, I think that's part of the reason I was so mature and why I was so good at sports and all that, because I was playing with people that were 5, 7 years older than me all the time, and it just made me have to play catch up, mature quickly, and just always just be ready to go. Because I never knew when I was catching a right hook to the jaw or something. When you're in a house with 4 boys, anything goes. It's pretty chaotic.
And
so
that also just kind of stems from just like your family and like how like the rules in the house and like their morals. Like I know you mentioned before in the past you being homeschooled and how like that plays like a big role in how you carry yourself today. If you could just like kind of
absolutely. So
that a little bit.
Yeah, I was homeschooled up until 4th grade actually.
Really?
It was.
How come?
It was just something that my mom wanted to do, and I'm really thankful for that experience. And she still had us in and around like different homeschooling groups. That allowed us to obviously interact with other kids and stuff. Because I know sometimes there's that stigma where like people aren't super big fans of homeschooling kids because they're not around other kids enough. So I would actually still go. I would go to this woman's house, and she would it was like 20 of us, and she would teach us. We'd have recess, all that type of stuff where we get to play and interact. But it just allowed me. I was always the youngest because I was going with my brothers, and everybody was about 5 years older than me. So like I said, I'm just so used to being around people that are, a little bit older than me. I just think it helped me mature really fast. But it was a great time growing up. It allowed me to do a lot of traveling with water polo, as I mentioned, because I wasn't in school.
That is so funny that you played water polo.
we went down to Texas, California, Nevada. I mean, I got to travel everywhere for water polo.
Why did you stop playing water polo if you were that good?
Well, I really, not to toot my own horn, but I really felt like I could have easily like played like in the Olympics. Like, I swear, that's how I felt how good I was. I was like 9 years old playing on the 14 and under team.
That's a hard sport because you got to tread the whole time.
Oh yeah,
right?
when you're out there,
oh my god!
It's 25 feet. Yeah. I mean, it's insane. It's 25 feet deep. There's no touching the bottom. Like it's not like you can like dip down and touch the bottom. Like no shot. So you'll be out there for 30 minutes straight, treading water going back and forth from one end to the other end of the
my
pool.
God.
Is it like does the clock ever stop or like it's just continuous?
It's pretty continuous. I would say if you want to compare it, it's like soccer, how it's kind of the clock just runs. But if anybody doesn't know what water polo is, it's basically soccer with your hands, but in the water, if that makes sense. So there's goalies,
While
stuff like
keeping
that.
yourself afloat.
While keeping yourself afloat, and it's one of the dirtiest sports
I was
ever,
gonna
too.
say it's physical from what I've seen.
Yeah, because the
Like,
refs
people are grabbing you underwater trying to like bring you down.
Bring you down. I've
Yeah.
had they pull your speedo down. You'll get kicked, kneed in the back.
Wait, so like are the referees like above the water or are they like down watching the
Yeah.
whole thing too?
So that's the worst part.
There's
The
like
refs-
cameras underneath though, right? Because
Yeah.
I've definitely seen videos.
If you're like in the Olympics, they have cameras underneath. But
if
like
they're playing youth.
But if you're playing youth or like
you
even
can
just
do whatever
college,
you want.
the refs are on top of the water, so they don't see anything that's going on.
Are they in the
water?
water?
No,
Oh,
they're
they're
standing and walking,
Okay.
so they don't see anything that's in the water. So pretty much anything goes. I mean, if they catch something, they can call a foul. But you're catching knees to the kidneys, all that type of stuff,
Oh,
and
God.
you're playing people from all around the world, and so some of those dudes they get a little dirty, throw a couple punches on the stomach, and I'm out there. Like I said, I'm 8-9 years old playing with like 14-year-olds.
Aw.
But I was scoring a lot, but I stopped because honestly, water polo, there's not a lot at the end. The end goal, even
Yeah.
if you are on the Olympic team, you make like $40K a year, and obviously it's not about money, and it's something I really enjoyed. But I was kind of like I had the opportunity to play football. I really wasn't that good at first. I remember being on the B team growing up. When I was playing in like elementary school, I wasn't good. I always felt some type of way about it, but I just stuck at it, and I was like, there's money in football, scholarships. Obviously, I went to college for free, so I wouldn't change anything at all. But I am looking to get back playing some water polo. Unfortunately, I'm still technically a scholarship athlete, and scholarship athletes can't play on club teams. So I'm not allowed to play on the club water polo team here. But I'm looking for maybe a men's league after I graduate and get back into the pool. Been a diehard Steelers fan growing up. Obviously, a little bit of a rough season for us. We made it to the playoffs. Started 3 different quarterbacks the whole season. It was rough. We took a beating to the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round.
New York.
Hey, I know this guy right here is a big Giants fan, though. I don't know. You guys, Tommy Cutlets, man.
Tommy DeVito, but we ended on a good note. We beat Philly, so I'm okay with that. I'm content with that.
Were you happy after that game?
Yeah, I was happy after the game. If we lost to them, I'd be like, okay, it's okay. We're losing to Philly. We're losing to Jalen Hurts.
You lost to that was not our starting line though, so I don't know if it counts.
At the end of the day, a win is a win.
A win is a win. A win is a win. No, but we got some good playoff games coming up. After you guys see this, we're recording on Sunday, but we have the Bills and the Chiefs tonight. Always a barn burner, so we're really excited to tune into some playoff games today, and then kind of excited to see what these matchups look like headed into the championship games. It should be interesting. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, super dynamic player. Excited to see what he can do. Hard to root against Lamar Jackson as much as
very hard.
I'm a diehard Steelers fan. I've met him a couple times. One of the nicest dudes I've ever met in my life. So I don't know. I'm partially going to be rooting for the Ravens here. Eve, who are you rooting for the rest of the NFL playoffs here?
I mean, it's obvious. Like, I'm a Giants fan. I'm going to root for New York at the end of the day. So I'm going to have to go with Josh Allen. Like, you've seen his performance not too long ago. Like, he's just really just dynamic. He's a third quarterback. He can sit in the pocket. He can throw the ball. And he can also get out the pocket and escape and score that long touchdown he did the other game. Like, he's just too versatile. And I feel like that type of stress will really stress the defense out. Is he going to pass it? Is he going to throw it? Is he going to run it? Like, now you got, like, defensive players just doing all this thinking, and it's just taken away from their game.
I love to
I
hear it,
don't
man.
even know who I won. I can't move on that the Eagles lost. I still can't believe it. It just makes me so sad.
You got to get over it. Hopefully, you might be saying goodbye to Nick Sirianni as well.
I hope
don't-
so. I really
Oh.
hope so.
You heard it here first. Kendall Skalicki wants Nick Sirianni out in Philadelphia.
That should be the caption. We have to have that as a clip. Sirianni, gone.
Sirianni, according to Kendall Skalicki.
I wouldn't even care if we just got beat there. I just want to know. I want an explanation. I think we deserve an. I already told you this, Landon. I think we need an answer. I need an answer, and then I'll move on. For how you can go 10-1 and then blow the season. If I thought we were gonna win the Super Bowl. I thought I was gonna watch Jason Kelsey win another Super Bowl.
A lot of
I was
people-
really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's happy, though. Like he said earlier.
He cried.
He cried. He did cry, but I'm talking about the tush push. I think he's gonna retire also. I think that's a whole another conversation for a different episode since our camera died.
It's back on. I was wrong. It's at a die. It caps at 30 minutes, and then I had to restart it. The light's blinking. It's gonna die soon. Oh, it just died.
Real quick, Jason Kelsey, you talked about the push-tush, though. He did come out and say every time that he hears them calling the tush-push in the huddle, he says, F it, I don't want to be here anymore. But then he says, you know what, I'm going to get it done. But I think that took a toll on his body, and I think he's done. He hasn't officially announced his retirement. Adam Schefter leaked that he's done. Obviously, a really storied career for a great center.
Until I hear it from him, I'm not going to.
I hear you. We'll hear it on the Kelsey podcast. I'm sure that's where the announcement's going to be.
It's obvious.
Yeah, and at least you guys got him a Super Bowl a couple years ago, so he does have a ring, unlike other guys who had to go out pretty sad. But sad for Jason Kelsey and some of those guys.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I'm your co-host, Ibrahim.
I'm Kendall Skalicki.
And I'm Landon Tengwall. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you next time.
And this is Gloves Off.